Well, it's coming up to autumn and pumpkin season, so I thought I'd show you how to pipe these really cute little pumpkins. You can do them in any colour you like. So to start with, I like to crumb coat the cupcake. You can do this in the colour that you're piping your pumpkin, or you can do it in green, whatever you prefer. So the piping tips I'm going to use to make the pumpkin, I'm using a 1A piping tip, and I like to use a piping tip for this because it helps you control the shape. For the centre, I'm using a Wilton 22. It's just this small open star shaped tip. You can use any small star shaped tip that you like for this, and I've just got some dark brown in here. I'm using the 352 leaf tip, the bird's beak, and I've got some Pro Gel olive green, and here I've got a number 4 round piping tip. You could use a number 3 or a number 2, and again I've got some olive green in there. So take up your 1A piping tip. Don't have too much buttercream in your bag. You only need a palmful, and then make sure your bag's nice and tight and you're ready to begin. So I'm going to sort of push the buttercream out and come back on myself as I pipe this. So you're coming up and over. If you've ever piped a shell border on a cake, this is exactly the same. So I'm going to turn the cupcake so that I'm looking at it, so that I can see exactly where I am with the tip. And I'm going to come in from the edge a little bit and then push the buttercream out and come in towards the centre. And I've used the shape of the piping tip to sort of shape that buttercream a little bit there. So go all the way around the cake, right next to each other. Come in from the edge a little bit, push the buttercream out, and then bring it back down towards the centre. And as you get towards the centre, I'm keeping the movement going. I'm just stopping, squeezing. So push it out, squeezing in, stop, come off. I'll squeeze one more in there. So there's the actual pumpkin done. You might find you've got a really messy centre. It doesn't matter too much because you're going to fill it up anyway. But if you've got bits that are poking up, you can just push them down with a clean finger. That's fine. So now with the Wilton 22 piping tip, I've got some dark brown in here. It's probably a bit darker than what I want. Use any colour you want to use. Just touch down in the centre of the cupcake, squeeze and lift up, stop squeezing and come off, and you've made the stalk of the pumpkin. Now I'm going to add some little twirly bits coming out with the number 4 round piping tip. So push all the buttercream down to the bottom and make sure it's nice and tight, not too much in your bag. I'm going to touch down in the centre against that stalk and twizzle as I come off. So touch, squeeze and twizzle, stop and come off. It's a very, very random twizzle. It can be any shape, any length you like. Touch down, squeeze and swirl, stop squeezing and come off. And I've just added 3 on here. And then to fill the other gaps around that stalk and to just cover it up a little bit, I'm going to use the 352 leaf tip, so the bird's beak. You want to make sure that you're pointing the tip where you want your leaf to be, and the buttercream oozes out the side of that V. So push all the buttercream down and make sure your bag is nice and tight and that you've got your angle of the tip right. And then I'm just going to touch down, squeeze a little leaf out and come off. touch, squeeze and lift and come off. And that's your pumpkin done. Now if you wanted to fill in the little gaps between the bits of pumpkin, I like to just take up this round piping tip again, and I'm just going to put a few little spikes in here just to fill the gap as I get really carried away. You don't have to at all. I think it gives a nice little bit of extra detail though. Makes the pumpkin look like it's sitting in the grass. So that one's a little bit long. Let's get rid of that. There we go. That's how you pipe really cute little pumpkins. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how I pipe these really cute little baby pumpkins onto the cupcake. I'm using my American buttercream recipe, and I've crumb coated the cupcake with a layer of buttercream in Pro Gel Olive Green. Now I'm using a 2D piping tip to mark out 3 circles around the cake with the base. So you just touch down onto the cupcake, push it in a little bit to make 3 markers. This helps you to keep your pumpkins nice and round and even on the cupcake. Now I've got a number 10 round piping tip here, and I'm going to start off by piping an orange pumpkin. So just push the buttercream all the way down to the bottom of the bag. Make sure it's nice and tight and that you haven't got too much in it. Now touch down on the outer edge of that circle, squeeze out the buttercream, and as you squeeze, pull it into the center, stop squeezing and come off. Go all the way around the circle, turning the cupcake as you pipe so your piping hand stays in the same place. And then one more in here. And now using the same piping tip, I'm going to put the next colour on. So I'm coming right up to the pumpkin that I've already put on there, so there's no gaps. And I'm going around the outside of that circle. So touch down, push the buttercream outwards, and then bring it into the center. And as you get to the center, just stop squeezing and come off. And now the last one, I'm going to come right up to the edge of those other 2 pumpkins and keep turning the cake as you put the last one on. So squeeze and push it out and then pull it into the center. To make the stalks in the center, I'm using a medium size star-shaped tip. This is a Wilton 22. Touch down into the center of your pumpkin. Gently squeeze a small amount out as you lift up a little bit. Stop squeezing and come off. Now around the stalks, I'm going to use a number 2 round piping tip. It's a really small round piping tip to make some little swirls. So I'm going to touch down onto the stalk and then swirl the piping tip as I squeeze, and then stop squeezing and come off. So make them all different lengths and all different shapes. It's just a bit of detail in the middle of your little pumpkins. Now I'm going to add some little leaves. This is a PME Super Tube 51, so it's like a tiny little bird's beak leaf tip. You use it in exactly the same way. So you point where you want your leaf to be and the buttercream oozes out the sides. Make sure your pipe and bag is nice and tight and that you haven't got too much buttercream in there. Now point where you want your leaves to be, touch, squeeze and lift, then stop squeezing and come off. So I'm just going to add a couple of leaves around the stalk just to cover up the gaps. You see I'm turning the cupcake and keeping my piping hand still. And I'll pop one more in there. Now to fill in the gaps, I'm going to use the 352 leaf tip or the bird's beak. So you point where you want your leaf to be, the buttercream oozes out the sides. Push all the buttercream down to the bottom, make sure your bag is nice and tight and that you've got that angle where you want it. And then I'm going to hold it parallel to the cupcake, touch down, squeeze and pull, stop squeezing and come off. And you create these lovely little leaves. So touch, squeeze, lift, come off. And there you go, that's how I pipe baby pumpkins onto a cupcake.